Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about genetic testing and using that to determine your optimal training style. And this is something I've been asked quite a bit about because apparently a number of YouTubers and famous bodybuilders and fitness models and things have done this, and they've done interviews on YouTube, and there's been videos put out with the people who do their genetic testing who then discuss with them what their testing means about their training. And I love the concept. I think it's interesting, but I'm not completely sold on this for a number of reasons. First of all, everyone that they're doing this with that you're seeing in the videos, and you've got kind of a bit of a bias there because they're taking people who have trained successfully, have gained very large amounts of muscle mass. They're pretty advanced lifters at this point. I know, like, what's his name? Mike Radish. Sorry if I mispronounced his name to anyone who's a fan. It's not intentional. I got a funny last name too. And I know, like, a famous fitness model, I saw one where they did that. And the thing is, though, they're looking at it and saying, well, we know this is how you train, and you've been successful when you went with this style of training. You've been very successful doing it. And then looking at their genetics and then saying, oh, yeah, we think this is why you were successful doing that, isn't the same as taking someone who's starting out early on and doing the exact same thing with them and then watching them progress over the next couple of years and seeing if they make really amazing progress. And that's kind of the difference of everyone that I've seen so far, and I could be wrong, those could just be the ones that are getting highlighted. It just seems to me that that's really what's happening, rather than, and that being used as a selling point, rather than taking individuals and mapping it and then showing that they hit optimum gains over the next 2 years. Like you take a novice and then they test them and then do DEXA scans on them. That's what I would like to see, and show that they gained those maximum noob gains that we know are the limits because they were on an optimal style of training for them based upon their genetics, where they gained literally 2 pounds of muscle every month for the first 9 or 10 months and gained a full pound of muscle after that, and effectively have someone that over a 2-year period on a DEXA scan put on 25, 26, 28 pounds of muscle mass that is documented because they use the training styles. Do that with several people, then I'll be more sold. And the other problem I have with it is a lot of it that I've seen so far, maybe a lot of their information is good. And some of the advice I've seen actually with the genes they're talking about that they see, I kind of agree with what they're saying. But when people start mentioning things like rep ranges, or they tell one of them, oh yeah, I mean, that's why really high reps work for me. And it's like, no, man, really high reps work for you because you're on gear. It's not your muscle fiber composition. It's that a lot of guys who go on a little bit of gear, if they have decent genetics or good genetics for size, they'll blow up on the high reps. And it's because of the metabolic fatigue. It's not their muscle fiber type. Because when it comes to muscle fiber recruitment isn't everything in muscle growth, because if it was, 1 rep maxes would make everyone really big. And the truth is, these people who are saying that don't understand rate coding and muscle tissue and muscle fiber recruitment order, how that works. There's a pattern to it. And anyone who understands that, and even people who don't understand it, who've just learned their body over the years through just training, have figured out the same stuff that the experts who study it know, is that any rep range can recruit every muscle fiber. You can hit maximum recruitment of motor units with everything from 1 rep all the way up to 15 to 20 reps if you understand the mechanisms of how to do it with that rep range. And it doesn't matter whether you learned it through the science book or you learned it by doing it in the gym yourself, because I've seen people who figured it out in both groups. So that's not it. The thing that can be looked at genetically, though, and I think some of the markers are going to be looking at the things of how fast does a person recover. That's a good one when you combine it with looking at how much workload they need, because that is a genetic factor. And it's something I have to point out with people is that, take for example one extreme, Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates did very low volume, relatively heavy weight, high intensity, got massive, and it wasn't just the drugs, because there were other guys using just as much drugs as him in the IFBB, and he grew bigger than them on what would be an inferior style of training for some people genetically. You know, his blood and guts or heavy duty type training, whatever you want to call it. Or you take someone like me, you guys freak out. When I show my legs, people freak out and they ask me, what do I do for my legs? And I genetically, particularly for my lower body, do not need any volume. I don't use any real volume. People even say your hamstrings are massive. What do you do? I'm like, I do 1 set of deadlifts per workout for my hamstrings, 3 to 5 reps, heavy. I very, very rarely do multiple sets for my deadlifts. I don't train my hamstrings directly, yet my hamstrings look like grapefruits pretty much when I've shown them to you guys. And same with my quads. I do have periods of the time where I go up to 10 sets of squats, but I have periods of the year to where my leg workout is one set of squats at 3 to 5 reps. Now I ramp up to that, but it's only one real work set, and it's low reps, one set of squats. Now I might come in and do it every day, 3 days a week, 6 days a week, something like that. But it's very, very low volume, whereas in someone else might need up to 4 or 5 sets of squats, and they might even need a little more reps to get the total workload to get the same stimulation that I get with my legs. And that's a genetic trait. And you find around a third of people grow very, very well off of very low volume. Whereas in other people need more volume and workload, and so they've either got to do a lot of sets or they've got to do high reps with less sets to get that workload that they need to stimulate muscle growth. And that is very much a genetic trait. And then the tolerance for workload, particularly for guys not on drugs. Now, when you're on drugs, your tolerance for workload can go up dramatically. But if you're not on drugs, that is very much a genetic trait. And the two do have a synergy together also. And so some people just can't handle 10 sets of squats or 10 sets of barbell rows. But some of the guys, when they get that combination of needing high volume to grow, who grow well on the high volume, who also have a good genetic tolerance for it, and they see that with the test, then yeah, you can pin that person down and say, yeah, man, you need to probably be doing 10 sets of squats and barbell rows pretty regularly. So it could be useful in that regard. I agree, as long as you're looking at things like workload tolerance through the genetics, how much work volume you need, whether you can grow off of a single heavy set very, very quickly, and your recovery and tolerance to the workload and things. Those are very good things that they can map out genetically, and I'd agree there. The only problem we run into is that there is no perfect routine for each person, and everyone will stall and plateau at some point on any given program, and that's why you have to understand training programming, because irrespective of your genetics, no one grows indefinitely doing the exact same thing. And everyone will stall, and they won't be able to progress their overload anymore, and that's when you have to understand training programming, and the genetic testing isn't going to help you around that. It's just going to give you a slight tendency, because we aren't as different as we think we are from each other. We're different, and everyone's an individual, but we're not that different. And so it just gives you some tendencies of some guys would probably do a little better on more volume, some guys do a little better on lower volume, and they're pushing the intensity up a little bit. And some guys will need a little longer than others to recover. Some can handle a little more volume than others. Those things it could be useful for, but it's not going to tell you how to program your training ideally, particularly when you reach those plateaus and stopping points. A person would still need to go read and understand training programming if they want to make continual progression through the years, even if they know what their genetics are. So that's the possible limitations of it. So I think it's interesting. I think it could be promising. I wouldn't overread into it, because maybe the guys who are doing the testing don't fully understand the exercise science, and they may not be giving the best advice based upon the genetic information. And that I really can't say, because I don't know. But I love the concept. I think it's interesting. I'm just not personally sold on it yet. I want to kind of wait and see where it goes for a while before I feel like I could possibly give my endorsement to something like that and tell you guys, hey, go spend, a few $100s yourself and see what it says. Because I don't know yet that at this point, with the technology and the knowledge of it, if it's a good value or not. I'm undecided still. So in short, guys, do what you want to do. That's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.